16. Discarded. Lavanya's POV. Time flew by quickly, and before we knew it, we had finished our work. As we were leaving the department, Virat sir called out to us. "Hey Lavanya," he called. Ruhi and I turned to look at him, and a smile instinctively spread across my face. "Good evening, Ruhi," Virat sir greeted. "Good evening, sir," she responded, casting a quick glance at me from the corner of her eyes. I rolled my eyes, noticing her mischievous grin. "I'm really sorry about this, Lavanya. You asked for 2 days off, and I couldn't even give you that," he said, sounding guilty. "It's okay, sir. I know how difficult it is to handle the new boss," I replied with a nod. "He's no less than Hitler," Ruhi chimed in. Virat sir sighed, clearly amused. "Anyway, are you both heading out?" he asked, looking at us. I started to respond, but as usual, Ruhi didn't let me. "Yes, I'm leaving, but Lavanya isn't. She came back from Noida in a cab, so now she has to wait for a taxi," Ruhi blurted out, her voice full of mischief, and I nudged her from behind. "Shh." I knew exactly what she was up to. "Ouch!" she cried out, rubbing her side. "Can't she just be quiet for 10 seconds? "What?" Virat sir asked, clearly confused, looking between the two of us. "Sir, she's just exaggerating," I said, trying to downplay the situation, and Ruhi flashed me an innocent smile. Do you mind if I drop you home?" he offered politely. "Why would she mind? After all, it's not exactly safe to go alone." "You should go with Virat sir," Ruhi advised, nodding at me. "This girl will never understand my awkwardness." I shot her a glare, but she just shrugged, wide-eyed. "By the way, sorry about your aunt. I heard about it from Ruhi, and also sorry that you had to come back here on such short notice. Mr. Dawson was really in a bad mood today, I guess," he said, offering another apology. "Oh, don't get me started on his mood swings. I could write a novel on it." "It's okay, sir. It wasn't your fault," I reassured him. "Is that why your uncle came to the office yesterday to meet you during lunch?" Ruhi asked, looking concerned. "Uncle? Oh no. No, he was a different uncle," I lied quickly. "Oh, remember Virat sir, how she left us and her phone in the canteen? We went crazy wondering where she was, and she was having lunch with her long-lost uncle. Can you believe that?" Ruhi complained, and I couldn't help but smile guiltily. "Uncle?" Virat sir furrowed his brows. "But she was with her friend," he said, his confusion evident. My smile faded immediately as I realized I had messed up. I hadn't lied properly. How could I say different things to different people? Oh no. What should I do now? I tried to think quickly, but my brain refused to cooperate. Oh dear Lord, my traitor brain. My eyes went wide. "Huh? No, her uncle came, so she went with him to have lunch," Ruhi clarified, looking between us with a smile. "No, her old friend came to surprise her. She didn't let her go. They talked, and she lost track of time, which is why she couldn't inform us," he added confidently with a grin. Ruhi gave me a confused and doubtful look. Unable to meet their eyes, I lowered my gaze. "Isn't that what you said?" I heard him ask, his voice tinged with doubt. I could feel both of their eyes on me now. "What's going on here?" Ruhi asked, her voice full of curiosity. "Oh no, Detective Ruhi strikes again." The silence that followed was suffocating. I couldn't bring myself to speak. How could I? If I told the truth, they'd be shocked. If they found out that I had lied to one or both of them, they'd never trust me again. My closest friend would be angry with me, and Virat sir... Oh God, the thought of him hating me was unbearable. "I'm tired, not feeling well. I think I need to go home," I lied again. You're lying too much these days, my inner voice scolded me. Are you okay? Virat sir asked, concern in his voice. Did you? Rui began, her eyes narrowing in suspicion, but then she stopped herself. Realizing that she'd already figured it out, I gave her a guilty look. Let me drop you home, Virat sir offered, stepping closer. No, I rejected, but he looked amused. I mean, I'll go home myself. I'm fine. I just want to be alone for a while. My uncle passed away, and I don't feel like talking to anyone right now, I added, trying to sound casual. What? Both of them exclaimed at the same time, with identical shock on their faces. What? I asked, wide-eyed, caught off guard. When did your uncle die? Ruhi practically screamed. Uncle? Uncle? I repeated, unsure what was happening. I thought you said your mom's aunt passed away. Now you're saying your uncle? What's going on? Ruhi complained, her confusion evident. Oh. I made an O shape with my mouth as realization hit me. What is wrong with your brain and tongue, Lavanya? My inner voice scolded. Did they divorce each other? I'm so sorry. I started to explain, but Virat sir interrupted. I think she's just really tired and exhausted. She definitely needs rest, he said kindly. Let's talk tomorrow, okay? Thank God. You're an angel, Virat sir. Tomorrow's Saturday. We'll meet on Monday. Till then, give your head some rest, darling, Rui added, in a voice that could only be described as a mix between a mother and an older sister. Oh dear, that was not a good sign. Oh right, I forgot, it's the weekend. Virat sir grinned, and my heart skipped a beat. Are you sure, Lavanya? He asked politely. Yes, no, what? Sure of what? I asked, confused, my expression clearly showing that I had no idea what he meant. About me not driving you home and you going alone because I really insist. Oh, that. I started to speak, but Ruhi interrupted with her motherly tone. She's going with you, sir. It's not safe for her to be out there alone. Yeah, she's right, Virat sir agreed, nodding. And I just smiled like an idiot. Shall I take your smile as a yes? He asked hopefully. Of course, yes. I smiled even more, giving a slight nod. All three of us exited the building. Ruhi waved goodbye and left, while I waited just outside as Virat sir went to fetch his car from the parking lot. Suddenly, out of nowhere, headlights flashed directly at me, almost blinding me. I couldn't see anything for a few seconds. When I blinked and regained my vision, the car had come to a stop right in front of me.
Jackie's POV. My anger was still simmering, and if looks could burn, the CCTV would have already been reduced to ashes. I focused on the file in front of me, trying to distract myself, but time passed unnoticed. And before I knew it, it was evening. I glanced at the CCTV screen. The office was emptying out. She wasn't in her cabin. I checked my wristwatch. It was past 6 p.m. I quickly left my suite and headed to the ground floor, but she wasn't there. Disappointed, I went to get my car. As I was pulling it out of the parking area, my headlights flashed on a figure standing just outside the office building. The figure was dressed in a different shade of pink. When she moved her hand from her face, I immediately recognized her. I slammed the brakes, and my car stopped right in front of her. She glanced at me, and I returned the look with a smirk. Her eyes shifted down to the handbag she was clutching tightly with both hands. What is she doing here, alone? Miss Lavanya Verma, I called out. She looked up at me. Don't feel like going home today? I teased. She didn't reply, but her eyes kept darting between me and something or someone behind my car. What is she looking at? What are you waiting for? Where's your bike? She hesitated, opening her mouth, then closing it again, repeating the motion. For some reason, she was reluctant to answer. I rolled my eyes in frustration. Miss Verma, answering my question won't harm your little brain or mouth, I criticized. I came in a cab today, so I didn't bring my bike. I'm waiting for my ride, she finally said. Is that so? That's good news for you, isn't it? My inner voice mocked, making me smirk. Oh, I inhaled deeply, hiding my grin. Come on, I'll drop you, I offered, gesturing toward the passenger seat. No, sir, thank you, she said, offering a weak smile. I'm not requesting, Miss Lavanya. I'm ordering you to get in and let me drop you home. Was I not clear enough? I said, my tone bossy. She opened her mouth, as if to respond, but then a flash of light reflected on her face. She turned her head, narrowing her eyes as she looked behind my car. Her smile grew wider. I glanced at the rearview mirror to see what she was looking at, and what I saw made my blood boil. What the hell? I looked back at her. Her smile was even wider now. I heard the sound of a car door opening and closing, and then I saw that manager guy walking toward her. He turned to look at me, giving me a big, professional, polite smile. Good evening, sir, he greeted. I only nodded in response, forcing a smile, my lips twitching to the left without showing my teeth. What is he doing here? I felt irritation surge inside me and shifted my gaze forward to avoid looking out the side window of my car. That gentleman bastard! I swear I'll kill him someday. Shall we go, Lavanya? He asked her. What? Where? My head snapped to the left again as impatience started bubbling inside me. She nodded weakly, gave me a quick glance, and began following him toward his car, which was parked just behind mine. I waited there, watching her walk away. No, stop. Wait, I called out loudly, and immediately got out of my car, heading toward them. Mr. Oberoi, right? I asked, my voice sharp. He nodded. Yes, sir, he replied. I continued. Do you also stay in one of the staff quarters? No, sir, Delhi is my hometown. I already have a house here. Why should I live in the staff quarters? My family is here, he said, flashing that damn smile at her again. Can't he stop smiling? It's driving me crazy. Miss Lavanya and I are heading in the same direction, as we both live in the same community. You're free to go home, I said, feeling a surge of frustration. She looked at me with her mouth slightly open, clearly surprised by my words. That's very kind of you, sir. But she's also my friend, Mr. Oberoi said, his smile widening. I wouldn't mind dropping her home. This is Delhi. I'm familiar with the people here, and the evening time isn't safe for a girl. You're new to the city, sir, and it would be safer if I drop her. I know the roads and the locality well. Ouch. What the hell did he just say? It's not safe for her if I drop her. Am I not capable enough to protect her? How dare he? That damn oversmart manager was really starting to get under my skin. What do you... I started to retort, but she interrupted. Thank you, sir. Good night, she said, cutting me off. I stared at her, my brows furrowed, too stunned to speak. Let's go, Virat, sir. I'm already too late, she said, addressing him. He nodded at her, then at me, still smiling. I stood there, frozen, unable to move. I just kept watching them as they got into the car. She glanced at me occasionally, but I could barely register it. When he started the engine and looked at her with that smile, it hit me harder than I ever expected. I turned and hurried to my car, standing near the door, my chest tightening. He overtook my car, and it felt as though his car had run over my body, my soul, and my heart. The pain was unbearable. They drove out of the campus, and I stood there restless and empty. What's wrong with me? Why am I feeling this way? This doesn't feel good at all. I feel soulless, heartless. There's a pain inside me, deep in my chest and my mind. Why did she choose him over me? She didn't even say goodbye, didn't look at me properly. Why? Why? I need answers. She can hurt me without even touching me or saying anything bad. Is she that powerful? Does she have some kind of magic? How is she doing this to me? How can a simple girl hurt me, Jackie Dawson? How, damn it, how?